wall to Palestinians.
We've been in JU's for the past about 5 days, and our main responsibility there has been gate watch. And let me give you a little explanation on what gate watch actually is. JU's is a small town of about 2,800 people. Approximately 75 to 80% are farmers. And now what's happened is the Israeli government has erected a huge barrier known as the apartheid wall that has severed the JU's community and separated these farmers from their land. In the process of their colonial expansion, the Israeli government has confiscated the JU's land, approximately 13,000 dunams, and is now de facto been annexed to Israel. And now the farmers don't have access to their own land that they lived on and relied on for their subsistence for generations and generations. So now about 3 times a day, Israeli troops in jeeps and Hummers come by, and they open the fence to give farmers access from one side to the other side. And the farmers there with the donkeys, their tractors, waiting for the 17 and 18-year-old boys and girls to come by to give them access to the land that they've owned. And it's just you can't even believe it. You can't even fathom the humiliation that these farmers have to go through on a daily basis. Sometimes we sit there at the gate and we have to wait 2-3 hours for the soldiers to show up. Meanwhile, there's one family with children that have to get to the other side of the fence so the kids go to school. But every day the kids are late because the soldiers don't care. They don't show up on time. It's really miserable, and words can't really describe it. So we were there for about 5 days, talking with families and meeting them and hearing about the suffering. And it is suffering in every way. It's suffering, and it's really hard.
Steve explains how the separation wall has affected Palestinians near the city of Qalqilia.
Now we're trying to get into the city called Qalqilia, and to get here it's a trek. It really is a trek. From JU's we have to take local transportation to a city called Azun, and from Azun we have to transfer to another taxi to the entrance of Qalqilia. Qalqilia is a city that's surrounded on 3 sides by the apartheid wall, a huge 20-foot concrete wall with watchtowers and all the security amenities of touchpad sensors, trace pads, motion detectors, and everything. And on the other side, there's a checkpoint that we can't pass because the military will deny us access to the checkpoint. So what we have to do is basically walk all the way around, way out of the way, into the farmland. We're here with a guide right now who's going to try to help us gain access into Qalqilia, but we just observed that there is a tank blockading the entrance to Qalqilia, which is going to make our entry even more difficult. So at this point, it's a waiting game. We'll be here for at the minimum of an hour and a half to 2 hours to trying to see if the tank moves, or to see if we could find some more farmers that we can accompany to the gate to be able to gain access. But it's an extremely difficult situation to be at the mercy of these soldiers, to have to wait for the okay to be able to move in and out of a city. You can only imagine. Actually, you can't even imagine. You have to experience it to really understand. And as I begin to, words don't do it justice.
So the wall hems in the Palestinians, cutting them off from their businesses, from their schools, and from their farms on the other side of the wall, thus creating islands of orphaned Palestinian territory that must be abandoned, only to be absorbed by the next wave of Israeli settlers, who feel justified in confiscating the abandoned islands of land. These are the facts on the ground, a bargaining chip for the Israelis, a curse to the Palestinians.
We're finally here in the city of Qalqilya, and if you look to my back, there's the highly controversial wall that Israel has been building. The Israeli occupation forces have been constructing for approximately a year now. The wall is sometimes referred to as the apartheid wall, or the isolation wall, or isolation fence, or even isolation cage, as some individuals refer to it here. The construction of the wall itself, it's approximately 25 meters high and constructed of purely steel and concrete. It extends in both directions for a total length of approximately 2 kilometers and effectively surrounds Qalqilya completely, isolating it from surrounding villages and cities, not permitting the residents of Qalqilya to leave and have free access, and it's restricting their freedom of mobility.
Either way, the wall is rising to surround the Palestinians, as an attorney from the town of Qalqilya explains.
I am an attorney in the province of Qalqilya and would like to talk about the dividing apartheid wall that Israel is building since 2002. Israel, as a government, built this wall to prevent the Palestinians from having their own country. They want us to have cantons only. The apartheid wall affected thousands of Palestinians. The people here are mostly farmers, and they depend on their land to survive. This wall was not built on the demarcation line, but on confiscated Palestinian land. They took also our resources, like 14 artesian wells that belong to the farmers. Israel, by building this wall, is preventing the people from making a living. They surrounded the people and placed them in a large prison called Qalqilya. It has one gate, controlled by them, and allow few people whenever it pleases them to pass. This is a fascist rule, as in all Germany, and now practiced by Israel in the 21st century. This wall affected all major daily lives of Palestinians. The Census Bureau stated that the income of people dropped to $80 per month, not enough to pay their electric bill or even feed their children. The intention of Israel to make tens of thousands of people miserable by limiting their movement from their jobs, schools, or worship places. This happens for Christians or Muslims. The daily lives of these people are under the control of Israel. You cannot have peace under these circumstances. Israel is not a peaceful country. It is state-sponsored terrorism. The ugliest form of terrorism is this daily occupation of our land.
بداية من لقمة الخبز وحتى أبسط الأمور.
So what you see in the period about 1980 to 1993 is a slowdown in economic growth in Israel and a kind of corresponding slowdown in economic growth